Hello and welcome to the Voices of MCC podcast. Our hope is that you'll be encouraged in your faith as you hear how MCC beliefs and practices are fleshed out in the daily lives of the members of our fellowship. And today, some folks who are former members and who are still partners with MCC. Luke and Sarah have been partners of MCC over 20 years, and we are just so thankful for them. And friends, if you do not know Luke and Sarah or their history with MCC, you're getting in on family conversation now. So imagine pulling up a chair at Thanksgiving dinner, and this is one of those Thanksgivings where the family's getting along and people love one another, and we're grateful for the family that Luke and Sarah are and the connections here today. Luke and Sarah, welcome.
Thank you, Todd.
Thanks, Todd.
So happy to connect here. For our listeners who are not familiar, Luke and Sarah, with your connection to MCC, Luke, give us just reach back a couple of decades now and tell us about your connection to MCC.
Well, Todd, some of the details are a little fuzzy, but I remember moving into Kansas City to start seminary around 2000, and probably pretty soon after that, maybe 2001, we started attending MCC regularly and probably joined in 2001.
In 2001, such fond memories back of having classes together at MBTS, and the Lord brought you all to MCC. And it was during that time where I was doing an internship at the church, and the Lord opened the door for me to be at MCC and called me to the church and to be the teaching pastor. And I remember just so fondly, Clarence and Joyce Jackson had an event at their home in Paola, Kansas. So for our listeners doing the geography and the math, MBTS, the seminary campus, is about an hour from Paola, where the Jacksons live. And Sarah, you came with us out to this event and had our car full of kiddos, and you came along with us. You and Julie had begun a friendship. I think Luke had to work that day or something.
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah, and so you came out with us, and it was at the Jacksons Pond. I was fishing there with the former pastor, and he talked about wanting to go and do church planting elsewhere and wanted to know if I would want to be the pastor at MCC. And it didn't take any time at all for me to answer, yes, this is why we're at seminary and what I want to do. And I believe the Lord would have us here. And that whole drive back home, I wasn't able to say anything openly yet about that without talking with Julie and getting some more counsel on things. But it's such a fun memory that you were there in the car with us, driving back to campus when this all began to take place. And now 20 years later, we sit still in partnership. So you all were members at MCC and sensed a desire for international work and partnership. And you headed to Southeast Asia for several years, and the work that you did there, such a joy, and now back in the States. Luke, you all came back to the States. Give us the month last year.
I think we came back sometime in June. And so pretty soon here, it's going to almost be a year since we moved back after living, for the most part, pretty much nonstop Southeast Asia for around 16 years.
16 years in Southeast Asia, working in a few different capacities, and the joy of hearing success in those projects and relationships, and all that the Lord taught you there and what he did in your family. All of that has just been a part of the ebb and flow of MCC, and praying for you and thinking about you. And last year, as you were coming back, it was the midst of COVID, and we had sent a couple of folks to go visit you before that, and to think about one of them transitioning to live there. And then you all had to move back in the midst of COVID. And if I'm remembering correctly, even that transition and the flights back were kind of scurrying about. Is that correct?
Well, yeah, if remembering the visit of two MCC members, it was right when announcements were coming out of closing airports, closing borders, and it was just a crazy week to be traveling internationally. And so that was a challenging visit for them, and then for us to try to leave a little while after that was stressful. But God was gracious in opening all the doors that needed to be opened, and it ended up being the smoothest, easiest flight back to the States that we've ever had in all the years of living overseas. So God's ways are just completely different from human logic many times.
I remember that, and just such a blessing for our church that that was a smooth flight for you, or series of flights and transitions, because we were praying, we were concerned with all that was going on, and just the emotional toll of moving and transition, and know that transition is quite significant, to go from one part of the world to another, and with 4 children and your own lives and so forth. Just so happy to see the Lord's strength on you. So now back in the States and settled in Siloam Springs, Arkansas. Sarah, catch us up for our listeners who don't know of your family, why Siloam Springs, and on just developments and transitions back there.
Sure. So one reason we decided to come back to Siloam Springs is because my parents are here in town. And they're in a chapter of their lives where they're needing some extra help, and we just felt led to come back and be a part of that. And that's been just a really, I think, a meaningful time of this year, of weekly being able to go over there and help them around their house and help them pick up groceries, and then just to sit, especially with my dad, and hear of his many stories of life and faith, and just to have that time with him that we haven't had all these years. So we're really thankful. That's why we're here in Siloam Springs, at least for now.
So happy for that the Lord has provided this opportunity for you all to be there and to get to reconnect with family, and just hear of the Lord's work, and with your children settling in. Just the Lord's kindness upon you all, and beginning to make connections. Luke, catch us up just a bit here on snapshots of kids. How has the transition been for them, and what are they up to?
I think overall the transition has gone fairly well, though they do voice desires to be back in the country we used to live in, and some questions and some puzzles about culture here. But Corbin just finished his 2nd year in college, and he's doing very well. Lydia had a wonderful YWAM trip where I think she just grew in her knowing the Lord in a way not connected with, being raised in our house, which was good because it became more personal and more of her walk with the Lord instead of our family's walk with the Lord. And she'll be starting college this fall. Billy had a great year in high school, just finished sophomore. He's going to be a junior next year. And though he misses the relationships of his small school, he's also appreciating the opportunities he has, especially in different art classes and sports. There's just more things happening. We're so thankful that most of everything was running during COVID here in Arkansas, whereas the life we lived overseas was pretty much shut down and stay in your house during this whole past year. And Justin, also, the extrovert that he is, he loves being at a school with lots of kids. So they've done well, and they've also expressed missing some things, and everybody has said they want to go back and visit at least at some point.
Yeah, I think that's true. The third culture sort of syndrome at times with international situations and where you live and what that's like and how those connections can be made and then maintained, and missing people and a new situation. So we will continue to lift them up and just trust the Lord's work in the midst of school and so forth. Well, Luke, let's talk about just your work there in Siloam Springs a bit as well. And Sarah, yours. You did some substitute teaching this year, is that right?
Yeah, I did. I got signed up with the public schools to take some positions, probably 3 or 4 times a week usually, just to be able to get out of the house and interact with people, because the work I do thankfully can continue to work overseas with technology, but it's just me interacting with the computer most of the time. So it's nice to be able to get out in the community.
Yeah, that's good. Yes, making those people connections. I want to come back and talk about those projects you're working on as well here in a moment. But Sarah, you have a job as well there in Siloam Springs at your alma mater. Is that right?
Yeah, that's right. I've been hired for just a part-time position at the graduate counseling department. So I've enjoyed the new challenges and new relationships, and yeah, having a little bit of work to do every day outside of the home.
Yeah, that's great. Well, Luke, let's talk for a bit here about projects that you're working on yet internationally. How are those going in a general way? How can MCC folks continue to pray for you in that regard?
Okay, well, this month I'm working on the Gospel of Mark for one team, and we hope to do a video conference evaluation of the gospel with people who've never read it before, probably mid-June. And then I'm also helping another team develop a set of stories based on the life of Joseph from Genesis. And they're wanting to see all of those stories checked and approved for use by the end of June also. So those 2 things are going to be my focus, taking us up through the end of June. And so it's interesting because we're a half a world away. Usually when we're going to bed, people over there are waking up. And so we have to catch each other at different times. And when I do the live video conference call, it's either going to be later in the evening or really early in the morning. But we're still thankful that we can look at them and interact and keep things moving forward.
Yeah, that blessing of technology and trying to adjust schedules to keep things moving forward. MCC has a few partners who are involved in international work, and here are stateside because of family needs or COVID. And so they're having to adjust schedules and try to do this work overseas. And what I am finding is that folks who have years of relationships overseas are able to yet do this work very effectively because they have relational capital, if you will, and they have connections and can continue to have folks who are in that target area and working away. I know that one of your friends there, David, is a concern for MCC and continue to intercede. How are projects going for David? Some of our listeners may have remembered you mentioning him over the years.
Okay, so he, after serving for 6 years in a different island, leading workshops for dozens of teams, needed to move to the island where we had originally met and worked together. And now he is continuing to help those workshops on other islands, but he's also working on a bachelor's degree through an online college. And the reason he's doing that is because he wants to become a translation consultant himself. And his organization he works with requires that you have a bachelor's degree. So he's kind of doing double duty now. He's continuing to help in workshops and also chipping away at a bachelor's degree. So he's very, yeah.
And I just think of your friendship with him and leadership in his life and discipling him. I remember years ago you mentioning him and your training in his life. It's just so fun to think about that. Yes.
Yeah, and it's been neat to just continue to have input with him, and he'll help check things that our team has produced, and he continues to just surprise me at how gifted he is in the way that he does whatever God opens up for him to do. So we're thankful for partnership with him, and we'll just continue to work with him and support him. I think that as he's given opportunity, he'll continue to be a blessing to the teams he works with.
Very fun. Okay, just a brief speed round here. Just a few questions. First idea that comes to mind might be silly, might be more serious, but here just first thing that comes to mind. Okay, Luke, how many people, what's the largest number of people you've seen on a motorcycle in a city in Southeast Asia?
Probably 6.
6 on one motorcycle. Okay. For our friends here that have not been in Southeast Asia before, that sounds crazy, but there you have it. Sarah, what convenience of America, we live on convenience, what convenience have you most appreciated since you have been back in the States living for a longer season here?
Probably processed food.
Processed food, yes. What convenience could Americans do away with? Sarah, back to you. What could we just get rid of? What is too convenient?
Probably processed food. What I mean is just being able to, get to the grocery store and get a box and have a meal, or go to the deli section and pick out a rotisserie chicken, all those things that just you can get really easily. But yeah. We lived for years and years and years without a microwave. That might be another answer. I don't think we need a microwave.
We probably could do without it.
Mm-hmm.
Luke, best book that you've read in the last year? You haven't gone all the way through it, perhaps, but you're reading it now and it's got you.
My memory's not that sharp, Todd. I can think of the book I'm reading right now. So I'm reading The Divine Conspiracy, and I didn't know it was so controversial with the different ideas that he brings up about. It's basically Dallas Willard's interpretation of the Sermon on the Mount, and it's not. Some of the things are not what you would expect or things that you've been taught. So anyway, there you have it.
There it is. I have heard of the book. I've not read it. I haven't heard it's that controversial. So maybe just because I'm just out of the loop of it, but I'll have to grab that sometime and skim it. I'm reading right now Jonathan Pennington's The Sermon on the Mount and Human Flourishing. If you haven't heard of that, it's a kind of a biblical studies book. One of the best books that I have read this last year also involves the Sermon on the Mount and the Lord's Prayer. It's a dissertation, but the Lord's Prayer as the center of the Sermon on the Mount, and the petition, "Give us this day our daily bread," as the center of that prayer, and therefore the center of the Sermon on the Mount. And the doctrine of God's providence as central to the Sermon on the Mount. Really fascinating and very, very encouraging along the way. Sarah, how about you? Best book you've read in the last year, or what you're reading now?
Well, I just finished a book. It's called Abiding Light, and it's one family's story and how they survived grieving one of their family members that died by suicide. And so she happens to be a college friend of mine, and it's just been published. So that was just a joy, because I know it's been in process for 25 years, and to actually see the finished product and to read it and be blessed by her family's story. It's been really good.
That's great. Well, thinking of families and stories, since you all have returned to the States you have been thinking some about foster care and adoption and participating in that. Sarah, catch us up on that. That's one of the reasons why I wanted to talk with you all this month. We are in the midst of National Foster Care Month. Just tell us how the Lord has put this on your mind and where you all are at in this ministry.
Sure. So the Lord has been, I guess, speaking to us, training us over the years, giving us some really neat experiences with ministry in our home, and having various people live with us. And it's just been a really good experience to see the Lord work through that ministry of hospitality. And we've also had some families that have just been inspiring, yours including the Chipman family, just inspiring to see you sacrificially love those that are in distress. And so that's those two things probably are what the Lord's used to push us in that direction, or invite us in that direction. And we just have thought, whenever we came back to the States and settled here, that would be something that we would pursue. We would want the Lord to use our house and our family for that kind of ministry. So we've filled out all the forms and have gone through all the paperwork. We started back, I think, in September. So it's been many months of just thinking and praying and moving forward in faith. So we're hoping that we'll have our license and be open in the fall at some point.
So encouraging to hear you talk about this. And when I first heard you all share about this, I think it was in the fall, you'd just been back to the States, and I thought, wow, that is just like Luke and Sarah here. I've seen for years your hospitality internationally, and having people in your home, having people live with you for extended periods of time, and the influence that you're able to have on them, and the encouragement back and forth, and how they bless you. And when I thought about you all taking in vulnerable kids, I thought that just makes sense. And it's hard work, but I think it's something that a whole bunch about, and it will be, I think, a blessing for you as well as in the Lord's time on that, and just a rich experience for you, and I'm excited for it. Well, Luke, as you look to summer here, give us a couple of prayer requests. What can we pray for you all this summer?
At the end of June, Sarah and I and Billy and Justin are going to attend a debriefing seminar that MCC has graciously provided for us to attend. And we're hoping to kind of just be able to reevaluate what's gone on in the past 16 or so years, kind of figure out where we are now and what some next steps are. So we're hoping for some just clarity and understanding of kind of where the Lord has us through this debriefing seminar at the end of June. Then we have lots of travel to see some of my family in California, and then maybe attend a wedding up in Minnesota. So different events like that also will have us on the road, and also visiting some other partners along the way. So I guess God's grace over all of the traveling and visiting that we're going to do during June and July as well.
Yes, we'll do. Yeah, we'll ask the Lord's blessing on those initiatives and appointments, and that it's great opportunities to connect. We are so happy that you get to go to the debrief, and just look forward to how that will refresh you all and give you a sense of the Lord's leadership and work. It's exciting for us to think about that, and we're excited. This is the first time I've had a chance here to MCC to announce our Partners Conference coming up the end of October. Much more information to come, but that last weekend, or second last weekend of October, the 22nd through the 24th, I believe, we will be gathering with some of our partners and hopefully having Luke and Sarah and perhaps some of their children along will be great. Well, it is just a delight anytime to talk with you, Luke and Sarah. We love you and we're thankful. And whenever we have these kinds of conversations, I want more. So I'm looking forward to it. And maybe this summer or definitely this fall, getting to connect and even face-to-face further would be great.
Thank you so much, Todd. And thanks again to everybody at MCC for partnering with us for so long and, carrying us along in prayer and in fellowship and in all the ways that anyone could ever wish for in the work that we've been involved in.
Yes, you guys have done just a great job of encouraging us regularly. And we've been so blessed as we remember you and also pray for you guys.
Yes, thank you. Keep us in prayer as we look to the summer with men's summer Bible study and some special discipleship events and other connections we're trying to make with folks. So yes, we covet your prayers. Well, Luke and Sarah, great to have you. I want to say a special thanks to Alex Volkman for his work in producing the Voices of MCC podcast, and Pastor Adam Anderson and Caleb Sheffield for the musical introduction. Friends, until we connect again on the Voices of MCC podcast, the Lord bless and keep you.